This is the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. We talk all things health, wealth, and community connection. Let's go. Welcome to this episode of the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. We got something special for you today. Someone I deeply admire, deeply respect, a good, great, amazing friend of mine, the Boss Mama. She's a CEO, she's a powerhouse. What I love about her is she has such an incredible family, and she's prioritized having a family life, been traveling for 15 years, started the Women Gone Wild movement, the Unstoppable Branding Agency, so many amazing things, and still is the Boss Mama and raised an incredible daughter. Great friends with the whole family, and I'm just so happy you're here today, Rhonda. You impressed me as a human, and I just appreciate you in my life and so much that you have done for me. Thank you. And without further ado, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's so fun when you listen to someone introduce you, you're like, wow, is that me? Yes, it is me.
You are a powerhouse, Rhonda. Can you tell the good fans listening, the people listening, what do you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a mom, right? I'm a mom. I'm a dedicated wife. And for 20 years, Brian and I just celebrated our 20-year anniversary of marriage, 25 years together, and 15 years of traveling as a family. I'm mom. 15 years. We left the U.S. 15 years ago, 5 days ago. My daughter's 16, Hanalei. And yeah, so that's what I do. And what I do for work, if you will, like kind of what one of my masks or my identities are, is, I'm a CEO of Unstoppable Branding Agency. We help build and expand brands. We leverage PR and media to do that. And our kind of tagline is we turn best kept secrets into world-renowned brands. Ooh. So that's pretty fun. And then I'm also the founder of a book series, Women Gone Wild.
I love it. Yeah. It's super powerful. And Rhonda's helped me with a bunch of PR and helped me get out there and always been such a good friend to me in that sense. So I really appreciate that. And seeing that, we met a few years ago, and it's been so interesting to see all the wild stuff that happens in our Bali lives, but also just to see this Women Gone Wild movement take off. Yeah. And seeing you in Times Square, on billboards and seeing holding these big events, all around the world. It's so interesting to see how that's taken off. But before you were doing these worldwide things and now going to Antarctica and Nepal tomorrow or something or next week, so wild. Definitely Women Gone Wild. You and Brian and Hanalei have such an amazing story to see how you went from this global, media firm to, to the beginnings, from the beginnings. Yeah. What was that like?
Yeah. So Brian and I met obviously 25 years ago. I was young in California. And we got married and we started our life, built our first house. And then I was a corporate executive for a Fortune 100 company. Brian was a robotics engineer. And we were getting to that point where it was like, okay, it's going to be time to start like thinking, are we going to get married? Or are we going to build a house and life together? And I went to work one day and there was a breaking moment. A lot of us have these, kind of defining moments that shift the trajectory of our life, very drastic. And I witnessed a woman put a 6-week-old baby in daycare. And here I am in my meeting, I'm all done up and my boss is in the front who I'm going to take her position over. And she threw this lady in a cross for being late for work. And the woman's like, I'm sorry, I just put a 6-week-old baby in daycare and it was really hard. And she's like, I don't care if you're, I don't care how old your baby is. If you want to put food on their plate, you're going to be here on time. Wow. And I went, wait a minute. No, like, this is not who I am, and I mean, and it was just like one of those shifts, like, I'm not doing this, and I was working in the pharmaceutical industry and that's a whole different story, right? I started calling them out on the clinical trials not actually being significant. And they're like, you just need to be quiet. If you want to keep your job, you need to be quiet. Wow. And so that was, part of my, transition. And I went home and I told Brian, I said, I'm quitting my job. And he said, you're crazy. And I was like, yep, but your fear is not big enough than my vow, which is to never put a child in daycare. Amazing. And so I went for it. But I had no idea what I was going to do.
Yeah. and Brian at the time was a robotics engineer, right?
Yeah. So he's very like analytical. Yeah. This does not make sense. We just bought our first house. If you want to have kids, we need your income. And I said, no, I'm going to figure this out. And what happened is it was in the moment, this was in 2004. And there was a documentary interview with Steve Jobs, and they were talking about the internet. And he said, if you are not understanding and learning the digital market, how to market, how to leverage this online space, you'll be left in the dark in 10 years. And you know those moments, like it's like you just hit it, and you think, oh man, I wish I would have invested in this a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like. I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to invest in this. And I started investing in myself, and I started learning from Perry Marshall and some of the greats, right? And before any social media was around, but Perry Marshall had hacked the algorithm of Google, and he was teaching Google ads. So I'm like, okay, all I need to do is find a product, and I can run ads and sell it. And that's kind of what I started to do. And I started selling personal development products from all the big guys, Bob Proctor and all these guys. And I crushed it.
Amazing.
And retired Brian about a year later. We were killing it. We bought our third house. I'm driving my convertible Mercedes. I had an extra car. Brian had this. And we invested in a big golf course development because I was ready. We're going to have kids. This is the time. We have enough cash. And a year later, we lost everything.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, we invested in, we had put our name on 26 different $1 million homes in a golf course development. And the developer was very savvy. He used our name on everything. And we signed off on our construction loan for him to finish it because I was pregnant. And he stole all the money out of the construction loans. And the banks are like, I don't care who was supposed to build them. They're not built. So here we are, this vision, this vow I had to never put a child in daycare. I'm building this epic company. I retired my husband. We just invested, and now we've lost it all. We find out about 2 months before my daughter was born, and my whole world fucking was crashed.
It's the most stressful thing possible.
Ever. And you have a huge baby. And this is my whole vision, right? I had corporate, everyone's like, go back and get your corporate job. Like, friends are like, guys, like, this is, you got to do what's responsible.
Yeah.
My daughter was born 33 days early. And at the time, I thought it was because I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
Later, I've worked with some amazing healers. They're like, no, actually, she came early to help take all the garbage off your mind because you had to focus on her.
Wow.
And it crushes my heart every time because I was so guilty.
Yeah.
Right. And so we found out we had this brand new, beautiful home, and we had to file bankruptcy.
Jeez.
And we literally went, okay, so what are we going to do now? Our egos were still deflated, yet, well, we have this big house. All we have to do is rebuild and do this. And I'm thinking this way. And Brian's like, you know what? I read this book called 4 Hour Workweek. Mm-hmm. You need to read this chapter. And I was like, no way. This is my house. I have a child. I know how to build this company. I can do this. And I was like really anchoring in this control. And he's like, no, you got to read this. Mm-hmm. And it was Tim Ferriss talking about setting up your business and your life with a system that you can leave and take a mini retirement. And he talked about Bali, and I started searching for it.
That's exactly how I did too.
No way.
I read the 4 Hour Workweek.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I did not know that
That's
part.
wild, right? Yeah. 4
And
Hour Workweek got me out too. I was like, I can do this life. And Bali part is amazing. And Eat, Pray, Love. But that's it's so cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But no, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And Brian woke up. Yeah. Hannah lays in the bed in between us, and I'm searching Bali. And he's like, "What? Have you been up all night?" I'm like, "Yeah. Okay, I think we can do this." And so, sure enough, it just happened. Actually, in November 25th, 2008, we signed everything off, and we left with $12,862.72 to our name and a vision and a vow to never put our daughter in daycare.
Wait, you left with 12 G's.
That's it.
That was your parachute.
We had
that was your
millions in the bank before, where I never even thought I'd have to worry about ever again.
Wow.
To that.
Oh.
You want to talk about ego at the door because you can no longer, act.
Goodbye Mercedes. Goodbye extra car.
Dude, this is hilarious. If Brian was here, he would be hilarious because when we left on the 25th, and he still had his Escalade. He calls the repo guy, and he's like, hey, man, can I drive my Escalade to this corner of the bank right by the airport so I can drop my family off at the airport, and can you give me a ride? He drops us off. Hanalei's just a one, almost a one, and all of a sudden I see this huge repo, our big, gorgeous Escalade, and Brian's like, Now, normally you'd be like so embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, this is freedom.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, he gets out of the car. He's like, thanks, man. High fives him because he didn't have to pay for a taxi in San Diego. Would have been $100.
That's such a Brian thing to do too. Like, to give you backstory, like Rhonda Swan's a character, like absolute character, and it's such like he's such a surfer. He's unstoppable surfer on Instagram,
right?
but the surfer, like, hey man, how you doing? Like really like chill, super chill, right? And then you're the yang of the relationship. You're the
Big
boss.
time.
You're the CEO of this one, and he's like, I'm gonna go surf for most of the day. I'll come back, but like the tinkerer, the analytical vibe. It's such interesting. I could just see him being like, thanks man, high fiving.
It was hilarious, and I'm like,
hilarious.
And I go, okay. So that's when it started. And now we just celebrated 15 years of travel. My daughter's now 16,
Super cool.
52 different countries, 6 continents, almost the 7th.
Yeah. Antarctica coming up. Just like Hanley to be ahead of her time in birth. And, you know, what was the company at 12 years old? Like a $250,000 company or something?
Yeah, we discovered her. She's a beautiful artist now, but we didn't know what she was doing. And she loved fashion. And she was sketching, and some woman saw her book, was like, what? How does this kid know this stuff? We thought it was a joke. And sure enough, by 11, she had her first company. 12, she made her first 6 figures. Amazing. You know, $250,000 company. And at 13, she retired. Yep. And she just built her first studio apartment.
Which I'm going to stay in next week. Sweet. They're going to Nepal. They're like, you want to stay at our place? I'm like, yeah. I'll take care of all of your dogs. I have many hats. But it's so funny to see that, because she's a phenom. Like I've been impressed with Hanley the first day I met her, because so mature, so worldly. And we were talking about this before. It's like, when I have kids, I don't want to raise them in the Western school system.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's a good programming. You're going to be a sheep. You're just going to be like, pay your bills. They didn't teach you how to be a functional, enterprising human being. I never even learned how to do taxes. You know, it's just like,
it's crazy.
I'm learning this year. You know,
right?
It's like I got to figure this out, because it's like it's not taught for you to advance in life. It's just like, get a job, pay your bills.
Yeah,
pay your
that's
taxes,
what it's a job factory.
Yeah, exactly. To see her, and I think a lot of these kids that you see grow up in Bali, you're like, wow, they're free thinkers. They have just a different mindset, and they're not glued to their phones, and just like their minds are different.
Yeah, the other day she's like, yeah, Mom, I've been practicing this thing with my phone where, I just leave it and I put it somewhere else for like 6 hours, and I've only been on the phone like an hour a day. And I was like,
yeah.
Really? She goes, I caught myself because I started finding myself mindlessly scrolling. And I was like, oh my. Yeah. But that's the awareness. Like most, I don't think teens at that age are that aware or conscious. Yet, I think she's been around some amazing human beings. She's been to over 150 entrepreneur events in her life, and spoken at them. And it's pretty cool when you can drop into a young human and then see the seed grow through them.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, she's an impressive being. When I first met you guys, I fell in love with your family, and I think you invited me to Brian's birthday or something on the cliff or something like that. And I was just like, that's the type of family I want. And at the time, I was like, will I get married, have kids? I don't know. But then when I saw you guys, I was like, that's what I want. Like, I want to have that type of lifestyle with that type of family. That's, a unit. Like, you guys are the unstoppable family. And I respect that so much, because it's so out of the ordinary, but it's so full of these amazing experiences, and your daughter's so switched on, and you guys have this amazing network. And I'm like, that makes sense to me, to have something like that, instead of just this monotony of everyday life, because that drives me crazy. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah. But hats off to people who can, and that's safe for them, and they're into it. But like, I have crazy ADD. Like I wouldn't be able to like.
Exactly. I get bored in my here for a couple months. Wow, we live in a paradise. Where should we go?
Really, I can't mentally. And so to see how that's really grown, and see how she's really grown as a human has been super impressive. What do you think were some of the major benefits, other than being around all these entrepreneurs, but for her to have the mind that she has at this age, what were some of the things that you were doing, schooling,
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was one thing, someone asked us this the other day, and it was such a big part of our life in raising Hanalei. It was right before she was born, actually. We went to an event, and it was, he was talking about law of attraction and, different ways for us to, manifest, right? But he said one thing that just landed. And he said, one thing I want you to do is remove the words don't, not, and no from your vocabulary. We're like, who would ever do that, And he said, but this is why we're so programmed to to say what we don't want or to immediately think about what not to do opposed to what to do. All children have been brought up and we're in a negative reinforcement environment, right? So which is why we're always unpeeling the onion. We're unpatterning ourselves because we were patterned so early on, right? Part of this system and matrix to get us to be in such a negative state, in a thought box of state. And so what we started to do is instead of, and it was hard. I mean, everyone should try it. Don't, not, and no. Okay. How many times you say, don't do that.
No.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Don't touch your brother. Don't kick that. Right.
Yeah.
What do you want for dinner? Well, I don't want pizza. I don't, because we're told to not stand out, right? Not to be authentic, not to be ourselves. And when we switched that, it was really challenging because we had to catch ourselves all the time, but you reframe it to what to do. So what happens is we were patterning this positive reinforcement into Hanale's mind of what she can do, never telling her what she can't do and she's in trouble ever. And that really changed just the way that her mind was actually patterned. So we'd say, jump over that puddle. That's why kids, because we don't hear what not to do. We only hear what to do. So don't jump in the puddle. Kids hear, jump in the puddle.
Yeah.
So we did that. And I think that really, it also gave her the confidence that we trusted in her, allowed her to make decisions. Like the book Celestine Prophecies was so powerful because there was a moment in the book, and I love the book for everything it is, but there was a time where there was this woman raising a child and this guy gets in the car and he says, "Oh, what's your daughter's name?" She goes, "Why don't you ask her?" And the whole chapter was about how we take away their power, and if we give them their voice and allow them to know that they're a human being, just because they're younger than us doesn't mean they're not wiser than us, and allow them to start making their own decisions, knowing that their decisions could, either be detrimental, there could be repercussions, or it could be very positive, yet learning from them all. And so people would ask, what does your daughter want to eat? And we're like, why don't you ask her? I want mac and cheese. We're like, does she want that? I go, I don't know. Why don't you ask her? And then if she said, I want candy, I want this, we'd say, well, you can have all of that. Just remember, do you think your body's going to want it? And then some days she did it. And then she was like, oh. And then she didn't do it again, right? But when we tell her, you can't have that. You're going to get sick. I want this.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a taboo.
Yeah.
And then you obsess over it.
Right.
I'm reading this book right now. It's so dope. The Happiness Advantage.
Oh, yeah.
You know this one?
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
Holy. I recommend all my clients to get it now because it's a great reprogramming. And it was exactly that. It's like, we need to be focusing on what we can do, the positive things, the gratitude lists, like really rewiring ourselves to focus on that. So I started doing the morning gratitude list and the evening one now.
Yep.
And I'm like, just looking for the positive things in life and stop like focusing on the negative things. And, we're just talking about like, going through a lot, when I was in Vancouver the last little while, and I was like, man, I would ruminate of things where I'm like, man, I feel like I got taken advantage of, or like, man, I feel
exactly.
and I just think about
you
that.
harbor on that. Like we were like, this guy took all the money from us for years, right?
Yeah.
And when you finally go, actually, no, we made the decision to do that, and our life wouldn't be like it is. We would have never left San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had to reframe that whole situation of like, what were the awesome positives out of it, and just keep looking at the positives and then being grateful for those. And that was great. And then the other thing I learned, it wasn't from this book, but it's on a similar thread. I think you're gonna love this. There's a Buddhist term, and the word means to ruminate. You're catching yourself ruminating. You're having unfettering thoughts that you get stuck and lost in them. And the word's papancha. And I don't know how you actually pronounce it in Pali, the language of the Buddha, but when I say it in my head in an Italian accent, it's hilarious. Papancha.
So it kind of makes you laugh.
Yeah, every time. So I'm thinking about some fucked up stuff, right? I'm angry. I'm just driving like, and then I'm like, papancha. Every time.
Okay, I'm going to use this
It's
now.
so good, right?
Yeah.
And you do the thing. You're like, papancha.
Love Italian.
Every time I'm like, yeah, okay, papancha. And it's been a great catch for me. And it helps me reframe that, like, hey, wait a minute. You're lost in a useless thought pattern. It's not wholesome. It's not skillful. stop it, laugh at it for a second, and then reframe. And that's been like a cool one for me while I've been going through that. So I think it's just a side note. I think people will love that
Well,
one.
it's good because I also The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan talks about the same. We always fall in the gap, meaning what did I not do? What have I not accomplished? And or we can go into the gain and say, look at all the stuff I've done, right? And always find the gain. So it's the same concept. I think there's a reason why there's that many books, that much conversation. Because we're so programmed to look at the things that we haven't done, what we have not achieved, right? And what we don't have, what we don't look for. But the moment, and this is a very big shift, it's quantum actually, the moment that we begin to go, I have everything that I need. I every day I create, all of a sudden, right? The universe just wants more of it. So we get so screwed up. It's pretty easy. Like literally manifestation stuff is pretty easy. It's not as airy-fairy, it's actually science, right?
Yeah.
We put it out there, we vibrate at the right frequency, boom, it's going to match us, right? That's why our vibe attracts our tribe,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And so I love that we reconstructed all that gold out of what we were getting, how Hannah became this powerhouse she is. She'll be on the podcast one day. I'll definitely have to interview her.
She's epic.
She's so epic. And so, seeing how that happened, then meeting you guys and just seeing, I remember it clearly, we're on this cliff face. It's Brian's birthday. And, step one, or like the first point I realized, I was like, you guys are hilarious. Like definitely my people. Like we bounce off of each other so well. I know when our friend Martin was here earlier while we were all talking, I'm like, this guy can't get a word in.
Look at we trailed from the start of that story. It's like, what is this podcast about?
We're just all over each other.
Keep following.
So Powerhouse. And then to see like you guys as a family unit and how playful and funny you and Brian are. Like you guys are best friends.
Yeah,
I see how you guys jam, and it's just like glass of wine. Okay, have a funny talk, and you guys really have that a good like bounce off of each other relationship. I really like that, and then the lifestyle. And so it's just like this makes sense to me. I really like that. And we had a few dinners at your guys' when you had that Bingham Beach mansion. That was amazing. And just the dinners and bringing people together in the community. It seems like you guys built the recipe for, I'm sure it has, of course, challenges everybody's life does.
Yeah, for sure.
But what you guys built on for the lifestyle. So, when you guys set out to start traveling and then you knew, did you have like a vision of the life you wanted, or how did you create something like that? What were the values, or what did you want to see in it?
Yeah. I mean, we were in survival mode when we left, right? $12,872.62. Yeah. But our first stop was Hanalei Bay where we were married. It's my daughter's name is Hanalei. And we started there and we went to the beach. I remember like, if I thought about what was happening financially, it overtook me. Instead, we just shifted and stood there and said, we're healthy, we have a great family, and we're great people. And instead of, but we also had a business, right? Remember, it was hard to sell at that point because we were like, we were a mess. However, what we did is we switched and he said, okay, no longer are we selling anything. We are living it because our values are freedom. Our values are family. Our values are fun. And our values are travel. So we're like, okay. And this is why I obviously created a branding agency over the last 18 years, is because I realized what we did that was so different than most is that we didn't overthink it. We just lived it. And every day we lived our values and people were magnetically attracted. It didn't even matter what we were selling. They were just like, how do I have this juice, right? You're talking about that juice. And I believe that everyone they have that in them, but they get so stuck in their mind, right? And not back into their heart that makes them think, I got to sell, I got to make money, I got to do this. But what they mistake is that if the moment you start to live it and you're feeling it, then what you're saying is so purely real and authentic that your value alignment then starts to connect with your audience. And that's really what we did. And that's how we were just like, okay, we lost it all. But you know what? This is how we're thinking. This is what we're doing. And this internet thing has allowed us to do this. Like this was when there was no YouTube, nothing on, right? And we had voice over IP and we had Skype then finally came out. So we were taking these funky phones, plugging them in, and I was running Google ads because I learned how to run Google ads. And I was like, hey, how you doing? I'm in Fiji right now. I mean, that's how we built our business.
No shit.
I'm not kidding. And then Skype comes out. I'm like, you remember the Jetsons?
Yeah.
You're going to actually get on my computer and we're going to talk face to face like the Jetsons. And they're like, no way. And sure enough, here I am, Fiji. I got my bikini on. I'm like, look, I'm here. And we created this whole world for people that they wanted, right? And that became then our brand, Unstoppable Family. And then we were teaching people how to build brands online because that's what I figured out how to do. You know, I took a lot of my skills as having a master's and, you know, what I did in corporate, because I was in marketing. I ran $1 billion, you know, marketing campaigns. And I just brought it in to this world, and it just became so much more freeing because we weren't selling anymore. And people, I think they get hung up in that. They start selling and they forget that their brand is them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I that's such a beautiful thing to actually really like hammer in, to be your own personal brand, and it's you being a business. And if you just invest in you and your skill set, no one can take that away from you. So when there's a recession or someone rips you off or whatever the hell happens, you're still you. You know, as long as you don't lose you and
or
don't
you're
die.
not a douchebag or something.
Yeah. That's your brand, though. That's your
douchebag brand.
Don't be a douchey brand.
Yeah, right. But like even you said, like all this stuff happened, but you said I'm doing this. What if I do retreats and people are like, brr, because it's you. Yeah. And this is what I love. I mean, obviously I get excited when I talk about how people can really live into their brand. And it doesn't mean that you're locked in. It means you can live it, but you build something that has such a heartbeat that everyone wants to be part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Just like, you know, Gary Vee was one of the first big companies that went personal brand, right? Same thing with Branson. Like they became the face, but whatever they touch, people are going to want. Mm-hmm. Right? Whatever we touch as the Unstoppable Family, whatever I decide to offer, people just want it because we're still the same people, right? And whatever we're connected to, just like you, whatever you're connected to, feel like, of course I'll do that. Yeah. Oh, you mean from tattoos to retreats? Done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like done. Yeah. Very opposite, but yet perfectly aligned.
Totally.
You know, and that's something that I love dearly and what I work with our clients on, certainly the way that we do our work. But it's become so ingrained in who we are as humans that, you know, that it really works.
I love that. And so when you are telling your clients to start a personal brand, and clearly it was like you wanted to live it with the life that you wanted. Like it's like, I want this to be authentically my life. And then you make that your brand. What do you say to people that are like starting out and maybe they want their life to be a bit more exciting, but it's not accessible to them yet? And then maybe the clients who are coming in are probably quite further along. But say people that are starting their brand, because I know there's a bunch of solo entrepreneurs that are following me. I'd love to give them value. So, what would you tell them?
That's actually one of I don't necessarily work with those type of startups anymore, but that's the favorite client because they have a decision in the beginning, and it's, do I want to sell it or do I want to live it? Now, they might see the vision that they want, yet if you fall in love with your impact, then people will become magnetically attractive, right? And you see what you want, yet you're living in where you are. And if you're truly in love with your impact, like, you know, coaches or people that are building, you know, service-based products, if you love it that much, people are going to love it too. I mean, just people buy from people. They buy from energy. Yeah. Like sometimes, I just talk about things and they're like, what are you buying? What are you selling? I'm like, nothing. But they're like, can I get some of that?
Can I just give you money?
You know what I mean? Because I love life. I'm so in love with my impact. And there is a little secret. How to do that is I live my life like a movie. Right now, I'm in your movie. I want to be the best freaking character in your movie, and you're in mine, right? So I select and choose scenes in my movie and people in my movie that are just gonna light it up, you know? And when you do that, you can then write your own movie script.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that, I think that part of that, I mean, it's obviously there's a lot of structure things that come to the brand side of it all, yet it really just becomes raw truth and just loving what you do and not worrying about, and this is something you and I talked about earlier, it's entrepreneurs, we get stuck often because we're like, there's so many things I need to do, yet procrastination sometimes becomes guilt because we have so many things to do, but we're procrastinating. And it's not because you don't want to do well or you don't want to do it. It's usually because I use procrastination like my wizard that in my wisdom that says, no, this is just not part of your genius. You need to find a who that can do that. And I think with young, you know, new entrepreneurs that are coming forward, they think, oh, I have to do it on my own. It's not, it isn't actually that way. Like you fall in love with what you're doing. And if you have a list of things that you're procrastinating on, then you need to find a who that can help you do it. Yeah. Give them steak, right? And that really is, I think, one of the easiest ways to just completely build and love a business, a brand, a product, whatever it is, because you're just loving it. Your energy's high. People are enjoying it. And you have other who's that can help you get it done.
That's exactly it. And I think when she says give them steaks, she doesn't mean literally steaks.
Yeah.
Because when she said that, I got excited.
You're
I was like,
"Ooh,
I'll do things for steaks.
yeah,
I love
a
steaks.
tomahawk steak."
But give them peace, right? It's super, super important. You know, I always like to say, like, no one's actually self-made. When it's like, I'm a self-made
Yeah,
this.
no way.
No, you're not. You have
Yeah.
people in your life. You need to have a team. You need people with you. You know, it's so important for us to have the right people around us. And that's one thing I've been, you know, scaling what I've been doing. I need the best. I want the best people now.
Yeah.
Like, I want really hungry, aligned people, and I will not do any more projects with people that aren't aligned to my values and visions.
That's it.
Because this is bringing my vibe down. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. Like, I want that. I want to be around people I can really learn from at this stage, just to keep leveling up, and having those people around. It's like just to really branch out, you know, with the right people.
And you deserve it. Like the moment that you prove, right? The moment you prove what you can do, then you will have that alliance that will come to you. That's why when we lost everything, we had friends that were like, guys, get a job, go back. Like, you're corporate executives, you're making 6 figures, go back, do your thing. And we're like, no, because we made a vow, right? So first off, boom, there's our character. They're sticking with what they said they were going to do, which was not put a baby in daycare. We didn't give up. We didn't fall back on ourselves. Next step was, boom, we started living it. People are like, ooh, wow, they're going for it. That's something that most people don't do. And yeah, we're in our little bubble and circle. It does podcasts, we do videos, we think everyone does it, but they don't. Totally. They're watching, you know? And so the moment that you prove to people, and then maybe you do lose it, but they're like, I'm betting on, you know, black, because we know they're going to go for it. We know they're going to do it, you know? And it's like, we're a good bet. So I think that's something that people forget about. Like, oh, all of a sudden their ego gets crushed because something doesn't go well. No, you're a badass. Just because your bank account may not say you're a badass, but you're still a fucking badass. And that's something I had to tell myself. My bank account didn't dictate who I was as a person, who I was as a mother, who I was as a wife, who I was as a business owner. And when I got that, I was like, hell yeah. And what happened? The bank account started to show up because people were like, damn, they're doing it. I'm not doing that. I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to be a little dangerous. Take the risks,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. The I always say that before, like, you know, people would be like, why don't you get back into crypto or stuff like this? And I'm like, I'd rather bet on myself. Like, I'd rather start something with me, or something that I maybe understand a little bit more, but also just that's I would rather invest in my own personal development and then scale projects. And bet on me. Of course, having you know, investments is super, super important, but betting on yourself is just the best.
Yeah, if you're going to invest in anyone, it might as well be yourself, right?
I would say that because it's like, I started this journey, you know, in 2016 when I started my life over, and I was like, I'm just going to keep learning stuff. I'm going to keep down this personal development and spiritual development path. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I just know I'm going to keep seeing some cool shit along this journey. Like, it's inevitably, there's going to be some cool things you can see. It's better than where I came from. It's like, there's definitely better things coming. And so when people are on that growth tip, it's just like, just keep growing. It's not, you're never going to be finished, but just keep growing and just keep working on it. And it always opens up these new doors where I meet people like you and all my other friends. I'm like, I never would have met them if I didn't go on this journey. And then seeing that continuously grow and scale, like, it's just a good path. You know, and so it's so important for me, for my mental health as well, as like having the right, like listening to a good podcast like this one, but also just having like the right input, and it comes with the people as well, and the right who's. And then to see how other people run businesses. And that's another big reason why I wanted to have you on, because we wanted to talk about, CEO shit. Like how people run businesses. How do they actually have a family and run a business? You know, that's a balance that seems really difficult, but how do you do it?
Well, I mean, that's a really good question, because I've been trying to figure it out forever, right? And finding different ways and thinking ways that are, you know, a good fit. And initially, the great part was that Brian and I were together. We've been partners from day one. And Hanalei, we just kind of made it a rule that, okay, mom and dad are working, and if we couldn't work like this, then we wouldn't be able to be together every day. You'd be in school. So give us this 4 hours, and we had to really set guidelines. Okay, we are done at this time, because she was, you know, homeschooled or, you know, traveling, and she went to little schools while we were traveling, but, you know, she was with us the whole time. But we had to learn how to really stick to our boundaries and to our integrity. And we learn a lot about integrity when you have a child. when you're older, you can like little white lies. Yeah, I'll be there, but you don't show. Yeah, I'll do this, but you don't do it. That's integrity, right? But when you have a kid and you say, I'm going to be done at 2 and we're going to go to the park. Well, they got their ball, they got their bike, and then they got their tears.
Yeah.
Because most parents don't have integrity, straight up. And they think that their work is too important than the life that they're building right now, which is that human being. So we got really clear on integrity. She knew she could trust us. So we also knew that we had to live up to our guidelines. That means we had to work within our structures of our time. Like, this is what we have to get done. This is what we have to share. So we were very structured. And I utilize this term, structure gives us freedom. Like, that's how I run my whole company. If we have structures, we have a lot of freedom within that structure, because then the wheels don't fall off the bus, right? Just like systems, operations, right? If you have systems and structures, you have freedom. And so that's how we built our company. And everything didn't matter what time zone we were in, we were working wherever our clients were. So if it's 5 a.m., somewhere else, we were working, or if it's in the evening here. And so we learned how to, no matter where we were, whether it's in an airport, we would just do the things that we had to do, take our calls. We never changed our schedules. That really helped. And then I think more importantly, the biggest thing for us was getting very, very clear on who we wanted to work with. So very strategic, selective, strategic selection of clients, right? Like, who do we want to work with? What are our values, and do they align with these people? Because many people and entrepreneurs, they're like, I can do this and I want to give it to everyone, whoever wants to buy. And I did that for a long time. And even recently, I literally didn't fire because they're great human beings. They just weren't value aligned. I just said, thank you, but we're no longer able to fulfill for you. Maybe you can go to these guys, because our values in our company is white glove treatment, is, a lot of touch and availability. But when you have too many clients, you either need too many employees, which I had hundreds, or you need to have less people that are really caring about your work. And so that's what we did. We went very strategic selection on who we wanted to work with, and we were okay about turning people down. And most don't do that. Right. And so that's really how I build our company, is we just look at asking the right questions. I mean, now our values have changed a bit. It's more like, what's the impact you're leaving on the world? If I'm going to put you in a top tier publication, am I going to tell a story that's actually going to help someone's mind, or is it going to deter from it? And a lot of times, so there was a while where I'm like, yeah, I'll take whatever you got. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm publishing very high level articles that are being read by millions of people, that these people are not even doing good. So I think that's really one of my biggest, that's how I play. I mean, my company's 85% women run, I own it. My husband's there, and I got a couple of my epic designers that are dudes that just work in this woman little space, and we nail it, and those are values that we hold. I give our company 2 weeks off at the holidays. I'm like, company shuts down, no clients, no, sorry. Get it in by the 8th, or you don't talk to us until the 3rd. And that's, we just sent an email out today. Get it in by the 8th, or we don't talk to you until the 3rd. And they're like, damn, that's epic. But many would go, no way. Because if business comes in, if they want to talk to us, they want to pay us. No. You can't pay me, can't talk to me, and you can't talk to my people.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's so awesome that you set those boundaries and give the structure to it. And I think that really helps. You tell the universe, like you said this before, when you're going to make a decision, you're going to put this out there. And I always called it as planting your flag. Yeah. And when you plant your flag, I'm doing these things, just like with the retreat center thing I told you about. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to do this now. I'm pivoting, and I want to focus on bringing people together, building community, and more into personal development. Like that's what I want. I want to build a space for that for Vancouver. And I was like, planted my flag, and then you see all this energy come through. And that only happened when I said no to a lot of things. So I'm not going to work with these type of people. I'm not going to be, doing this, and this. And it was just like that is a powerful, the practice of discernment is powerful. You choose something and you discern what not to do. You make a decision. That's what a lot of people get stuck in, is they can't make a decision. I don't know. Should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? Wasting the time like wondering about it, it's even better just to make a decision. If it was wrong, pivot after you know it's wrong. Do something. Like go for it. But
you're right. That's where people will stay in this unknown zone, right? So they're just like not sure, and the universe doesn't know either. So if you want to get into in the quantum realm, like they literally all we got to do is just vibrate at the energy we want it to. And then you're like, oh yeah, clarity. But it sounds easy to say. This last year, I was like, taking on partners, trying to fill gaps, doing this. And I'm like floundering.
Yeah.
What the hell happened to my badassery, right?
Yeah.
I'm letting people go. Shit ain't working. Clients are not responding. They're not the right clients. They're bitching about stuff. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not doing what I enjoy.
Yeah.
This is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's not how I want to do it. And like, boom, shift, instant trajectory. And it's funny because you're like, oh, it feels so painful to make that shift. Then you're like, oh my God, that was so easy.
Yeah. Such a big weight off of it. After
Right?
the fact. You're like, I needed to do that. That was exactly what I needed to do. Those pivot times are so vital. They're so important. So I think, if you're going through a big transformation, or you're going through a rough patch, just know this is like the best thing that ever happened to you. Like it will. You'll make it.
Yeah.
You'll make it an amazing time, and you needed to go through that. Like anything that was, hard, it's usually awesome and worth it after the fact, and you get all that gain out of it. I wanted to know more about, about PR, about where the business, where UBA is going, because you were again switching things up a little bit, and I don't know if everybody would fully grasp, like, how would you explain the PR world to them?
Well, PR has a lot of different meanings, right? So what we do specifically is we help our clients build their online profile. So we work mainly in digital PR, and that means obviously I started working in Google back in 04 and 05, and I knew the value of Google indexing, right? And being searchable, right? Now we know what that is. But before, that was like, ooh, you mean if someone can search up a product, Google it? That's why it's called that. And so what we did is I made this pivot about 5 years ago in our company where we were building brands. I've developed and built over 2,000 different brands and products, and launched different products for coaches and consultants. But about 5 years ago, I was like, okay, what do people need now? And my value ladder was brand image from the bottom, right? Start with your brand image, your brand message, your strategy, marketing, and then PR, right? So that was like this value ladder. If you're starting to build this. And then as we grew, I started to look at who are the clients that I really wanted to work with. And I wanted to already work with established brands. So PR became my focal point. But what I did, which was very unique, and many are copying me now, but they all know I'm already the category queen. So everyone knows that they come to me for this. And that's, building that online profile, utilizing tier 1s and tier 2 publications that are Google indexed, high domain rating. Like, these are all terms that many don't know, which is why many don't understand the PR game, and they get sold things that don't help them.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they get sold, I'm gonna get you here, and it does shit all for their brand.
I probably get one of those a day,
right,
from some random guys in India.
Usually they are foreign.
Yeah.
But this is what's happened. And so the PR game got very diluted. But back in the day, I said, okay, domain rating is how Google puts a weight on your actual domain, 0 to 100, and that's traffic, right? And so if you're at anything under the 30 or 40s, you're literally barely any traffic. But when you start tapping up in a domain rating of 50 up to 100, for instance, Forbes is a 98, okay? So Forbes has got 178 million eyeballs every day.
Wow.
Right? So we know the value of websites. Yeah. Then digital publications came about 8 years ago, more so. In 2018, Inc. was the first big tier 1 that went digital. And everyone's like, what the hell's wrong with them? Well, now I don't even think they're printing anymore, right? Yeah. So I figured this out about 5 years ago just on a whim, because what I said, I'm like, okay, so if my clients are marketing and we're running ads, what if I put them in Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, all these top tier publications, which has got people now are like that's big time, right? That's big eyeballs. And it's not them talking about themselves. It's someone else, third party, talking about them that's credible. And it's searchable. So when someone searches their name, boom, it says immediately Inc. magazine. What if we started running ads to the article? And we run mass amount of traffic to the article itself. Smart. And then we start creating a layer, which it was like kind of our mogul method, where we create this layer of, hey, check me out. Like, they see a really nice video of me, then they see me in Inc. or Entrepreneur Magazine or Forbes Magazine, and then here comes my webinar or my offer.
Cool.
It was like, people were like, I don't know why or how, and we were retargeting the shit out of them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
seeing this everywhere.
Yeah, right. Like, you were just on Entrepreneur Magazine. I know, that's funny. That's a whole thing, right? But I cornered it, and I didn't tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I just told our clients. I was like, look, we have a new system. I know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we're leveraging digital PR. Now, since then, digital PR has grown massively,
huge.
right?
Yeah.
And we also know that if you're not searchable, right, then and your name is not indexed, then and people are flooding it, then you're literally not going to ever be found because someone's going to see ads. They're seeing ads about 27 times now, and then they're Google searching you, right? So if you don't have what's called a Google Knowledge Panel, meaning you're
built
Google
mine,
verified. Oh yeah. Then you're Google verified, right, on the right hand side that says that person's a public figure. Then you're getting lost. So that's what we do. We turn, that's why we turn world-renowned brand or best kept secrets into world-renowned brands.
I love that
Because
tagline.
we layer the shit out of their name. Google index it with high domain rated real publications, not the ones that have zero traffic. Because I know how to search it. I know how to find all that info. And then we help them populate their Google Knowledge Panel so they're verified. So now it's like, this is what I do. And of course we teach them how to nail what they do. And this is the formula. I'll say it because everyone needs it because I asked somebody what they did yesterday and it literally took her 20 minutes to tell me what she did. And I was like, I can't help you. I can't even refer to people to you. And you have to be able to really nail it. So when I say we turn best kept secrets into world-renowned brands with PR and media, you pretty much know what I do.
Yeah.
Right?
It's on point. Yeah.
On point.
You get it.
I create sexy brands and turn them into profit-making machines. It's what you do and the desired outcome of the client. Because the moment you say what I do, okay, that's nice. But what I want is a sexy brand, or I want to be a best kept secret into a world-renowned brand. I want to be a world-renowned brand. Boom, now you hook them. So that's part of my little.
I love that.
Yeah,
we're
it's
gonna
so
do,
easy.
We're gonna do
what I do.
Write these shit
Yeah,
down.
what I do, and the desired outcome of your perfect client.
What I do and the desired outcome of your client.
Yeah.
I hope you guys wrote that down. That's really
Yeah.
good. That's so actionable. I love that.
Yeah,
stuff.
right
It's
now,
so
easy,
actionable.
and you practice it. Like, I don't have marbles in my mouth when I tell people what the hell I do. So they're like, I have a client for you.
Yeah.
I have a client for you. Like this literally 20 minutes. I wanted to refer people to you. I have zero idea now who and what you do. She was like embarrassed. I said, let me just help you.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do they want? That's it.
Yeah.
And you don't waste people's time because if we make people use too much mental bandwidth, they don't make a decision, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why with our PR, the work that we do on branding, we're very specific. This is who they are, what they do, what they've done, how they can help you.
Love it.
And people are like, boom, I want that guy. Like, so that's how we start driving. We go back to the simplicity into what exactly people want, make them feel good, and boom, they make a decision.
Love it. Make them feel good and make a decision.
Yeah.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all make decisions based on how we
Emotions,
feel.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so people this goes back to this living your brand, not selling it. Right? People loved Unstoppable Family, didn't matter what, because we made them feel good.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I love your family.
Yeah.
You don't know what the hell I did.
Yeah, it was great wine too.
Okay, well, that's our secret. Little extra heavy-handed on the wine.
Yeah, every time we hang out, it's a good bottle of wine.
Always.
It's always a good bottle of wine. Yeah, you guys got the good wine.
Yeah,
It's a good
you're
time.
gonna do one good thing. You're gonna drink good wine,
Yeah.
right? Have a good life. Be grateful.
Drink good
You
wine.
know, and drink good wine. Have integrity. Be grateful. Have integrity. And drink good. That's my three.
All the things.
Yeah, but that's the thing is no matter what type of industry you're in, if someone could relate or feel good about what you do or how you're doing it, then they're going to say yes. So for instance, PR, people are like, how the hell are you going to feel good about PR? Well, we don't offer PR. I offer a change in not only their revenue, their relationships, how they feel, their self-worth, because they get into PR. So that all of a sudden they feel like a celebrity. They feel amazing. When you feel amazing, you're nicer to your wife or your husband and to your kids. You're more confident when you're in your sales calls. So all I do is just help you create a better life, and I do it through PR.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can find that edge to where, what is it that you can help people feel better about, then your product is just like, oh, of course I want that. Like most of our people don't, PR is a luxury item and most of them don't know they need it, but man, they sure do know when they meet me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, that's your solution. You want to have a better relationship with your husband? Get PR. Yeah. You want to travel the world? Get some PR.
Did you break your leg?
Get some PR. It's like spray some Windex on it.
Oh man, yeah. When I broke all my legs, you
Well, we did PR.
You got me PR. I think, but you guys were sending your sweetheart chef over to
Kiki over.
Kiki to
Yeah.
bring me an extra meal every day, and it was also on carnivore when I was healing too. That was awesome. Yeah, you guys were so sweet to me during that whole experience.
See? Make you feel good.
Yeah, you make me feel
Yeah.
good. Oh man, that's so funny. When did tell us about Women Gone Wild? Because that came out of nowhere. I was like, what is this thing? All of a sudden, you got this book movement and all these amazing women coming together.
Yeah.
It's just like,
What the hell is she up
yeah,
to?
what are you doing?
That literally came out of a big spiritual awakening, you know, because
we had a few of those.
yeah, with some of those, and we're like, oh, you know, I've sat in front of a fire, you know, for hundreds and hundreds of hours, especially during COVID. I'm like, I want to shift. Something's got to shift because I didn't have a lot of relationships with women. I'm a badass, and I was raised in Detroit, so I've got that kind of badass edge.
Yeah.
You know, like
throwing elbows,
yeah.
roller derby.
Shit, yeah, exactly.
That's a real thing.
Off the ropes, and I realized I'm like, darn, you know, like. I don't even know how to really interact with women because I just was a doer, you know, and I had a lot of catty stuff going on. And I was like, you know, I have a daughter now. I can be a badass business owner, but if I'm not bringing my heart into it and being able to really open up, then I'm really not teaching my daughter. I'm teaching her how to be resilient, but I'm not teaching her how to actually be empathetic. Because I I never could really empathize with anyone because I was just having to go. I was in survival mode. My dad was a drug addict. He was, you know, alcoholic. You know, it's just like I had to do it on my own. Yeah. But I didn't want my daughter to be raised that way. So I sat in front of the fire for hundreds and hundreds of hours, almost every weekend. And it dawned on me, there was this, you know, spirit or whatever you want to call it. Could have been the medicine, who knows, said, shit, you need to actually do something that stretches your limits, that puts you in a very awkward space, and you need to help women write their story. And that's when Women Gone Wild became a thing.
Wow. Okay.
You know, and I decided to, launch this book and tell short stories of women lives. And the Wild series, Wild is wealth, redefining wealth, intuition, leadership, and diversity.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So we have 4 books in the series.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know that. I've been seeing you in Times Square doing all this cool shit. I had no idea. Because you had your first Women Gone Wild event, and I'm pretty sure I was in a wheelchair or something. Like I don't think I was like able to
tuning
make it,
in,
physically able to make it. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see that. I didn't know it was so wealth, intuition, leadership.
Yeah, so it's a wild woman is a woman that redefines wealth. Okay. So it isn't just about money, right? So there's short stories that were being called the Chicken Soup for Women Empowerment. Cool. Diana Wentworth from Chicken Soup for the Souls in our book. They sold 898 million copies. Pretty good one to have around you. Yeah. And then next is they tune into their intuition, stand strong in their leadership, and then of course embrace diversity.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So the Wealth book is just launched. So it's bookstores all over the world. Intuition launches next June, and it'll also be in Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, all of the above. And then leadership and diversity will follow.
I love that. That's awesome. We'll put the link in the show notes because we want to check that one. I just been dying to tell this story because when we sat at ceremony, and it was just the story of when that girl I was dating. It was just so fucking hilarious because it's just a stupid story but funny, right? So we're sitting ceremony. It's our dear brother Monty's birthday. My partner here at Lighthouse Studios, where we're filming this amazing podcast, and you got to check out Lighthouse. You got the best chicken burger on the island, but also Studios and chicken burger. So we're sitting in ceremony. We were late, and so I came in late because the girl I was seeing at the time, God bless her, I told her to be ready at a certain time because I'm wanting her, like, we're gonna go meet my friends like Rhonda and Brian and Monty and all of us that were sitting ceremony together, peyote ceremony. Like, we gotta do this thing, and it was like. She was late getting ready. I told her to be ready at a certain time, and she wasn't. And it's important to me to be here on time for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are my people. So I was a bit annoyed, you know? I was
like, you're
on.
already annoyed.
I wasn't like too pissy, but I was just kind of like, oh, come on, get ready. And I like scoffed. And she was quite sensitive to that. So she was just like, oh, you're mad at me kind of thing. And so we're like, jump on the bike. And I was driving up there fast to go to Ubud. And we drive all the way up there, and we get there late. And you guys are all like ready. Everyone's in their ceremony stuff. You guys are ready. And like we gotta get involved, right? But we're kind of fighting on the way there. And so it's really tense. And
it's not how you want to go into a ceremony.
Not even a little bit. And like, we're so happy to see each other as we always are. Everyone's so happy to see me. She doesn't really know anybody there. So she's just in this weird, not feeling it. Just not feeling safe in what she's going through, right? But I'm like, I want to get in this. I want to go. Let's go inside. But she was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. Like, I I don't think I'm gonna do this one. And I'm like, yo, like you guys we're going in, we're going in the teepee, like we're going in it, like let's go. And she's like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I'm like, okay, totally okay if you don't want to do it. Like I can't force you to do anything.
But
I don't want to force you to do anything.
But I'm doing it.
But I'm doing it. Like I'm gonna go sit with my homies. We're gonna go in. I want to go sit next to Rhonda. I want to go sit next. I want to sit like AJ's there. I want to sit. My people are there. Like, I want to sit with my people, right? And she's like, well, and then finally said, okay, let's go. And I was like, okay. So we're like the last people to go in, the dead last people. So I didn't get to sit with any of my friends. It was like because
I think you guys are kind of close to me.
Near the door, though. We were near the door.
By the door.
We were right by the door. So like not the cool seat. It's just like right by the door. There was like somebody and their daughter was like hanging out in the thing. She wasn't sitting, but she was. It was like the daycare area of the teepee, right? The big fire in the middle, and we're doing the ceremony, and of course it's a process, and it's not like the easiest one, but as we're going through it, I could feel us like psychically breaking up, and it was just like I hated the feeling. I could really feel it in my stomach. Everything was just so dark, and I go to like put my hand on her lap just to be like, "Are you okay? Right? Are you okay?" And she just pushed my hand off her. She said, "Don't touch me right now." And it was like it was like someone stabbed me in the heart. I was like, "Oh my God, that was
like so awful."
Like it hurt so much. I was so sensitive. I was like, "Oh, we are done." Like it was just like a ceremony, psychic medicine breakup right then and there. Right? Like couldn't have been more clear. We looked at each other. It was like, "This is over." And just then, the shaman comes over, and he has his feathers and his full thing.
Let's bless you up.
Yeah. And he's like, "Aaron, brother, stand up for a second." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, Okay. He's like, "I love you, man." I'm like, "I love you too." And he's like, "Isn't the fire beautiful?" I'm like, "The fire is beautiful." And he's like, "Okay, we're having a nice moment." He's like, "I'm gonna bless you." I'm like, "Cool." And so he's like, we're doing the whole smoke thing and all that. He's okay. Now I'm going to invite your beloved up, and I'm going to bless your relationship. And I was like, oh fuck.
No, I just broke up with her spiritually in the ceremony.
And I'm like, oh, no. And then I look over at her, and she's looking at me, and she's like, are you fucking kidding me? So she stands up, and we're in front of everyone in this ceremony. The big flaming eagle, smoldering eagle ash thing in front of us. Dude with
eagle ash thing.
Yeah, shaman with a condor or whatever. Shaman with the full headdress. And we're beside each other, and he's like, you guys can hold hands for this part. We're like, oh.
It felt so weird too. We were like, why is this so odd? Then you told me, you're like, oh shit.
In front of all you guys, because the most awkward blessing you could possibly have. It's just like, oh, I can't fucking believe this is happening right now. One day it'll be a good podcast story.
Right? There you go.
Yeah, that was fun. And then you guys all came in and got tattooed at the shop.
That's right. The next day we were eating peyote.
Yeah.
That's when I got this one.
Yeah.
And this one, I think at the same time.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You went on a big tattoo like craze for a little while.
Ready
You were coming into the shop like, you're ready again. Brian
Yeah.
got a big tattoo at my shop. Hannah Lee, your guys' daughter, designed his back piece, and you guys were
and the one that she did, the beards, broods, and tattoos that he did on the ribs in the heat at his event the whole time, and he never even got up and walked around.
So funny. Yeah, those are some good times. So side story, I just wanted to tell that story. Now back to helping the world with, amazing your wisdom. Is there any other things that you got coming up right now? Like, I know you got some events going on. Like, what are you doing now with these?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun when you make a conscious decision on like literally strategic selection, right? And it's not against anyone. And some people are like, oh, you just think you're better than everyone. I'm like, no. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I think I'm better for myself. So I do get to choose who I want to align with. And some of that means not everyone. And it may not be you. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just making a choice. And you have to be able to be bold that way. So I made a conscious decision to not speak, not dilute myself at a million events, right? Unless this event is a fucking banger, I'm not speaking at it. Not that I'm better than anyone. Just that I want to preserve my information and my time and for my family. And so the moment I said that, I got asked to be a partner and a host. We're working with Insider Expeditions, which is some of they're the largest retreat and expedition center of all of the United States, and they bring retreats and events all over the world. And so January we go to Japan just for fun, and then we go to
You're going to Nepal like tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I go to
Next
Nepal in a
week.
couple days.
Yeah.
But and that was another one, Unconventional Life with Jules Schroeder, and we partnered with them because they bring the highest level of human beings, the thought makers, the change makers, the disruptors, and we come together and we talk like this, like how do we elevate what we're doing, and we get real with each other, and that's the conversations I want. I want to be at a table that is like, yes, we can drink some wine, but man, we're going to make a difference, right? So we do that. January we go to Nepal or Japan to snowboard, and then we're going to head to Europe. And then in March, we're going to Antarctica. And we're the host of the stewardship expedition that's going to Antarctica on the 4th of March. Cool. We're going with some amazing human beings. Like there's only 100 suites in this whole thing. And so that's really the focus. And then our Intuition book launches in June, and we'll have a big book tour, LA, New York City, Times Square, Vegas. And, and it's like, but to me, if people go, oh, that's really busy, right? You're going to be gone all the first quarter and then you leave. But it's like very strategic, because I know the people, I know the conversations I'm going to have, and I get to curate them. And then we get to then invite those that are also value aligned. So strategic selection in what you're doing in your 2024 is the most powerful thing that you can do. And it's not against anyone. It's for you, right? So yeah, that's what we've got going on in the first, half of the year. And the other half is, just moving right along. So
I love this. If you were to break down strategic selection in like one elevator pitch, what would it be?
Yeah, strategically select the clients that are value aligned, events or ways that you give your information that's value aligned. Like I don't go to these every day, but I did drive an hour and a half down here for you.
It was hard to track you down.
I know, right? But this is why, and it's really hard to say no. However, it's the most empowering thing. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that I'm strategically selecting where I give my time. And when we do that, the highest level clients come forward. They're willing to pay your rates. They don't bitch about your prices. Like I don't have anyone that bitches about my prices, and they're high. And that's the people that we want. And sometimes, like we were talking earlier with the lion, the field mice, and the antelopes, a lion in the jungle can find and catch as many field mice, but he'll die of energy and exhaustion. But the antelope is when a lion goes after the antelopes, they'll feed their family, they're patient, and then they get fed for longer. And so that's really the philosophy that strategic selection is. It's for everything that we do.
That's amazing. I love that. Brian Swan just pulled his head in. Fucking Brian.
If you didn't hear that, of course
if you
he
didn't hear
did.
that, fucking Brian comes in, pokes his head open with his goddamn beard hanging out, looks at us, and closes the door. Like, fucking Brian. He's like, is it wine?
Hey, you guys, I'm bored over here. That's what he's saying right now.
Can I come in? Is what he's always like. Can I he wants to hang out? But I think that's really beautiful. I can't wait to employ a bit more of that into my life.
Yeah,
it's
right?
like a really good pivotal time for me. It's kind of what has already been starting.
Good.
Like the last 5-6 months was like, okay, strategically select what you want in your life. And every time I've done that, these new opportunities have come through.
That's it.
Every time I've cleared stuff out emotionally and like get the cobwebs out, the resentment, the guilt, the shame, all this shit that was just like, just really weighing me down.
Yeah.
As soon as I cleared it out and then I was strategically selecting, I want these things in my life. I want better systems, better people, better vision, better just everything. I want it to be aligned to my future, the future I want. Every time I did that, it's like doors opened up.
Right.
It was like
Quantum
amazing.
leaps also.
Exactly. Like a big jump.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay. So that was what it was like. I mean, I had a great month last month, the best month all year financially. And it was because I started really saying no to more.
Right.
Like, this is amazing. Like I just started saying no to more things and really being clear on what I wanted. And then that opened up so much more energy. So I think it's strategic selection is the way. That's
my 2024 word is strategic selection. Yeah. And just saying no, so you can have space to say yes to the right things.
Thank you so much. It's always so fun having you here.
I know. I'm like, we wiggled and waved, but
oh yeah, that's how we roll.
the value alignments, the ones that are watching this, are going to think it's perfect.
Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Yeah,
we'll
my
put all the
pleasure.
amazing things in the show notes. But thank you. I know it was a trek for you to get out here, and I know you're so busy. So when you did say, I kind of was like, maybe she'll say yes, because I know we're good friends, and I'll come hang out at your house and stay over, whatever. But to get you to drive all the way out here, like an hour and a half up when you're this busy, I was like, that's a stretch. Let's see. And then you're like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, Yes. Yes,
Of course,
thank
I'd do
you.
anything for you. I
appreciate
I believe in you and I trust in you. And I strategically select you.
It's so nice to be strategically selected. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Everybody, please, if you found value out of this episode, share it. If you have some friends that would find some value out of it and you want to do something nice for them, strategically select to give them some
This
love.
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Please give it a share. That's how I get to have amazing guests like these. And we do it for free, and we just want to see you guys level up and us to have a community of people leveling up. The world needs more normal humans leveling up together, so we're able to fix things.
We're not normal, though.
No, not
Definitely
normal.
not normal.
Okay, maybe there's a wrong choice of words. We need more people that want to do dope shit and will do anything it takes to do it, to get there and to live an amazing life. And let's do it together.
Yeah.
So please come to one of our retreats that we'll be having. Come out to Lighthouse in Bali. Come visit. Follow Rhonda Swan if you're not already. Check out all the stuff that she does. She has some great value content that comes out. And please come on back, and we'll see you on the next episode. Big love, homies. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. I hope you found it inspiring, entertaining, funny, and also feeling a little bit more present and connected to yourself. Please leave a review and like and subscribe and do all those things. I'd really appreciate that. As well as if you're feeling in a giving mood, this podcast is there for the charities that I love to support. Go to www.aaronbaya.com/charity and get some of those good karma points. This podcast is brought to you by Lighthouse Studios in Bali, as well as Full Reset Coaching. That is my coaching practice. And if you're looking for help in business, inner game impact, and building your legacy to be something you're proud of, your brand, your business, and how you walk the earth and who you impact, and also having the mindset and the heart set to be able to be happy handling it all, I'm here for you. Just DM me. Let's go. Peace out, homies. I'll see you on the next episode.